Everyone, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're taking a deep dive into a topic that's been getting a lot of attention lately. Fasting.
Yes.
We're going to cut through the noise and really look at what the science says about its benefits.
Okay.
Address some of those common myths that are out there, and if you want to try it out, we'll give you some practical steps to get started safely and effectively. We've got a lot to cover today. We're talking intermittent fasting,
OMAD.
which is one meal a day, and extended fasts. So basically a whole spectrum of fasting approaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think people are really curious about it because it seems like, you see all this stuff about the benefits.
Right.
But, is it hype?
Yeah.
Is it real? Is it safe? And how do you actually do it right?
Right. So I think this is why this is such a timely deep dive. What I find so fascinating is that fasting isn't new.
Exactly.
It's been around for centuries.
Thousands of years.
And it was often tied to religious or spiritual practices.
Yeah.
And it's only recently that science has started to really explore its potential health benefits.
Yeah, well, and especially I think with weight loss being such a, hot button issue for so long.
Right.
We're finding that there's all these other benefits that go way beyond just weight management.
Right. And that's what I think is so exciting because we're talking about potentially extending lifespan,
Okay.
improving metabolic health, reducing inflammation. So it's really like a whole body approach.
It is. And it's, it's really tapping into our body's natural ability to heal itself.
Yeah.
It's like you're giving your body a break from digesting food all the time and allowing it to focus on, repairing and restoring.
Right. So to kick things off, can you give us a little breakdown of the science behind these different types of fasting? Because a lot of people have heard the terms intermittent fasting or OMAD, but they don't really understand what's going on in the body.
Right.
So can you kind of unpack that for us?
Sure. So let's start with kind of the core concept of fasting.
Yeah.
All types of fasting really involve intentionally abstaining from food for a set period of time. So you're basically giving your digestive system a break.
So like a scheduled break.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So intermittent fasting, for example, that's where you cycle between periods of eating and fasting.
Oh, okay.
So think of it like you have an eating window each day.
Right.
And then you have a fasting window.
So instead of grazing all day long,
Right.
which a lot of us are guilty of,
Yeah.
you're actually condensing your meals into a specific time frame.
Exactly.
Okay.
And one popular example is the 168 method.
Okay.
Have you heard of that one?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's where you fast for 16 hours and you have an 8-hour window for eating.
So that could be like, for example, finishing dinner at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
and then not eating again until noon the next day.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty flexible.
Yeah.
And a lot of people find that that's easy to kind of incorporate into their lifestyle.
It's like setting boundaries around eating.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then you have OMAD, which takes it a step further.
Right.
One meal a day.
So you're basically fasting for...
You're fasting for 23 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're really condensing all of your calories
Into one meal.
into one meal.
That's intense.
Yeah, it's more intense. It's not for everybody,
Right.
but some people really thrive on it.
Okay. And then on the more extreme end, we have extended fasts.
Right.
So what exactly is an extended fast?
So an extended fast is typically anything over 24 hours.
Okay.
So, some people do them for a couple of days. Some people even do them longer under medical supervision.
Right.
But, those longer fasts, they can really trigger some unique physiological responses.
Right.
So it's not something to jump into lightly.
Yeah.
You want to be prepared.
Right.
You want to know what to expect.
Absolutely. Okay, so now I think the million-dollar question that everyone wants to know is, how does simply changing when we eat potentially impact how long we live?
That is the big question.
It is.
That's what everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
And researchers are really digging into this right now.
Yeah.
And while human studies are ongoing,
Okay.
we've got a lot of interesting insights coming from animal studies.
Okay.
So one key mechanism that's at play here is autophagy.
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 So can you explain what that is in layman's terms?
Yeah, so autophagy, it's kind of like your body's cellular recycling and cleaning crew.
Okay.
So during fasting, your cells actually start to break down
Okay.
and recycle damaged components. Essentially, it's a rejuvenation process.
So it's like giving your cells a deep clean.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Getting rid of all the junk.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not just about giving your digestive system a break.
Right.
It's really about this deep cellular level cleanse.
That is.
And that's potentially contributing to longevity.
Exactly.
Wow, fascinating.
Okay, what else?
So another key benefit is a metabolic boost.
Okay.
So fasting can really improve insulin sensitivity.
And insulin sensitivity, for those who don't know, that's basically how efficiently your body uses insulin.
Right.
Which is the hormone that regulates blood sugar.
Exactly, yeah.
So improved insulin sensitivity means lower risk of type 2 diabetes.
Yes.
And just better overall metabolic health, which is tied to lifespan.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like giving your metabolism a tune-up.
Yeah, it's like a reset.
It's a reset. Okay.
Yeah.
What about inflammation?
So inflammation, chronic inflammation is a major driver of disease,
Right.
heart disease, cancer, all sorts of things.
Yep.
And fasting has actually been shown to reduce inflammatory markers.
Okay.
So again, it's playing a role in disease prevention and potentially longevity.
So it's like putting out those internal fires that are contributing to aging and disease?
Exactly, yeah. So fascinating. Okay, so we've got the cellular level. We've got the metabolic level.
Yeah.
What about the brain?
The brain, yeah.
Does fasting have any impact on cognitive function?
So that's an area where we're seeing a lot of promising research.
Okay.
So when you fast, your body actually shifts from using glucose as its primary fuel source to burning fat.
Right.
And this process produces ketones, which can act as an alternative fuel for the brain.
So your brain can actually run on ketones?
Yeah, it can.
Okay.
And studies suggest that ketones may actually offer neuroprotective benefits.
Okay.
So potentially guarding against age-related cognitive decline.
Like Alzheimer's?
Like Alzheimer's, exactly.
So you're not only potentially living longer, but potentially living sharper as well.
Yeah, and I think that's what people are really interested in.
Yeah.
Because, nobody wants to live a long life if they're not mentally sharp.
Right, exactly. So it's like a quality of life enhancer as well.
It is.
Okay, so before we get too carried away with all the potential benefits, I think we need to address the elephant in the room, which is the myths surrounding fasting.
Right.
There's a lot of misinformation out there.
There is.
And a lot of people are hesitant to try it because they've heard things that might not be true.
Right.
So let's tackle some of those myths head on.
Okay.
One of the most common ones I hear is that fasting slows down your metabolism and puts your body into starvation mode.
Starvation mode.
Right.
Everybody's worried about starvation mode.
Which seems counterintuitive, right?
It does. It does.
Because you would think that going without food would actually boost your metabolism.
It's a common misconception.
Okay.
So in reality, short-term fasting can actually increase your metabolic rate.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's partly due to the release of norepinephrine, which is a hormone that stimulates fat burning.
So it's like giving your metabolism a little jolt.
Yeah, it's a temporary boost.
A temporary boost.
Now, prolonged fasting without proper guidance, that's a different story.
Right.
But the types of fasting we're talking about,
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting, OMAD, those are generally safe and effective for healthy individuals.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Okay, what's another common myth?
Another one is that you need to eat frequent meals for energy.
Right, like you'll get hangry.
Right, you'll crash, you'll be tired.
If you don't eat every few hours.
Right.
Okay.
But research actually suggests that meal timing isn't the only factor that determines your energy levels.
Okay.
A lot of people find that they have sustained energy throughout a fast, especially as their body becomes more adapted to using fat for fuel.
So it's not about constantly topping off the tank. It's about teaching your body to tap into its reserves.
Exactly.
I'm noticing a theme here, which is that fasting is challenging a lot of our ingrained beliefs about how we should eat.
It's making us rethink everything.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay. Another concern I hear, especially from people who are active, is that fasting will lead to muscle loss.
Right.
Is there any truth to that?
So that's a valid concern.
Okay.
But muscle loss is usually only an issue with prolonged or extreme fasting.
Okay.
Not the types that we're talking about.
Right.
So intermittent fasting combined with adequate protein intake and exercise, it can actually help preserve muscle mass.
Okay.
In fact, some studies even suggest it might enhance muscle growth.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not about depriving your body. It's about strategically challenging it to become more resilient.
Exactly.
Okay, and lastly, I think this is a really important one to address.
Yeah.
The myth that fasting is the same as starvation, right? Because people lump those two things together.
They do.
So what's the distinction?
Starvation is involuntary.
Okay.
It's harmful.
Right.
Fasting is a conscious, controlled choice.
So it's about harnessing your body's natural ability to adapt.
Exactly.
And to thrive during periods of food scarcity.
Right.
Which our ancestors did all the time.
Right. They didn't have access to food 24/7 like we do.
Right.
They had to go through periods of feast and famine.
Exactly.
So our bodies are designed for this.
So it's really about tapping into that ancient wisdom.
It is, yeah.
That's in our DNA.
Exactly.
Okay, so for those who are intrigued by the potential benefits of fasting and are ready to move past those myths,
Okay.
what are some practical steps for getting started safely and effectively?
Well, the first thing I would say is consult with your doctor.
Okay.
Before making any major dietary changes.
Right.
Especially if you have any underlying health conditions. But once you get the green light, start slowly.
Okay.
You don't want to jump into a prolonged fast right away.
Right.
Ease into it.
Okay.
Gradually increase your overnight fasting window.
So like build up that fasting muscle.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So start with something manageable like a 12-hour fast.
Right.
See how your body responds. And you can gradually increase the duration as you become more comfortable.
And what about hydration?
Hydration is key.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're staying hydrated throughout your fasting window.
Okay.
So sip on water, black coffee, herbal tea. Those can all help curb hunger pangs.
Okay.
And keep your energy levels up.
Okay, so you're not depriving yourself of fluids.
No.
It's just about choosing the right ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this is making me really rethink my daily routine.
Yeah.
Because I usually start the day with a big breakfast.
Right.
But now I'm kind of curious to experiment with pushing that first meal a bit later.
Yeah. And, it's all about finding what works for you.
Right.
Some people do really well with a set schedule. Some people need more flexibility.
Yeah, okay.
So, it's not about being rigid.
So it's less about rigid rules and more about attuning to your body.
Exactly, yeah.
And finding what feels sustainable.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've laid some really good groundwork here.
Yeah.
You've walked us through the different types of fasting, the science behind it, and some of the myths. So I'm sure at this point, some of our listeners are thinking, all right, I'm ready to give this a try.
Right.
So what are your top tips for incorporating fasting into a daily routine safely and sustainably?
Yeah, well, the most important thing is to remember this is a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Not a quick fix.
Okay.
So you want to make changes you can stick with over time.
Right.
Start by just extending that overnight fast.
Okay.
Instead of having breakfast first thing in the morning, maybe push it back an hour or two.
So ease into it. Okay. I like it. What about for someone who's brand new to this and maybe feeling a little intimidated? What are some practical strategies?
You could start by just skipping one meal a day, a couple times a week.
Okay.
Like maybe have a later breakfast and an earlier dinner, so you're skipping lunch.
Okay.
That helps you get used to the feeling of fasting without making big changes right away.
Right.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about intermittent fasting and OMAD. What about extended fasts? Those seem a lot more daunting.
They are a more advanced form of fasting.
Okay.
And you really want to prepare carefully and monitor yourself closely.
Okay.
Work your way up gradually. Don't jump from a 16-hour fast to a 72-hour fast.
Right.
Listen to your body.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to break the fast if you're not feeling good.
Safety first. Always.
Okay. Always.
What about hydration? I imagine that's even more crucial during extended fasts.
Yeah, hydration's always important, but with extended fasts, you really need to pay attention to electrolytes. As you fast, your body starts using up its glycogen stores, and those are bound to water and electrolytes.
Okay.
So you can add a pinch of salt to your water or have some bone broth to replenish those minerals.
So it's not just about avoiding food.
Right.
It's about nourishing your body in a different way.
Exactly.
Okay, we focus a lot on the physical benefits of fasting, but what about the mental and emotional aspects?
Yeah.
Some people say they feel more focused and alert during a fast. Others might experience mood swings or irritability.
Yeah, it's interesting how fasting can affect us on all those different levels.
Right.
Some of those mental benefits could be because of the change in brain fuel.
Correct.
When your body starts using ketones instead of glucose, some people feel mentally sharper.
Like switching from regular to premium fuel.
Exactly.
But you also have to acknowledge that fasting can affect your mood.
Yeah.
Some people might get irritable or have mood swings.
Right, especially when they're first starting out. It could be because of changes in blood sugar or just their body adjusting.
So pay attention to those cues.
Yeah.
And adjust as needed.
Exactly.
If you're feeling really stressed or irritable, maybe break the fast or shorten it.
Exactly.
It's all about finding what works for you.
Right.
Okay, so I'm really curious about the future of fasting research.
Yeah.
It seems like we're just scratching the surface here.
Absolutely.
What are some areas that you find particularly exciting?
Well, one thing that I think is really interesting is this idea of personalized fasting.
Personalized fasting?
Yeah,
Okay.
imagine a future where we can tailor fasting plans to each individual person.
Okay.
Based on their genetics, their microbiome, their lifestyle.
Wow, so not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and another exciting area is fasting mimetics.
Fasting mimetics?
Yeah.
What are those?
These are compounds that can actually mimic the effects of fasting without having to abstain from food.
Wow.
So this could be really helpful for people who can't fast for medical reasons or other limitations.
Okay.
Imagine getting the benefits without the food restriction.
Right. That opens up so many possibilities. Are there any other areas of research that have you excited?
Yeah, the role of fasting in cancer prevention and treatment.
Okay.
There's a lot of research going on there.
Yeah.
Some studies suggest that fasting could actually make cancer therapies more effective.
Wow.
And even reduce the risk of developing cancer in the first place.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
The
different types of fasting, the potential benefits, the science behind it, the importance of safety. I think a key takeaway is that fasting is not just a diet.
No.
It's a way of life.
It's a way of life.
It's a powerful tool for taking control of your health.
Absolutely.
And tapping into your body's ability to heal and regenerate.
It really is about shifting our mindset from constantly fueling our bodies to giving them a break to reset and thrive.
It's like giving our cells a chance to breathe.
Exactly.
And do some spring cleaning. Yeah. And it's not about being perfect.
No.
It's about finding what works for you.
Absolutely.
Listening to your body and making adjustments.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
Not a destination.
And even small, consistent changes can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
Well, it's amazing how much there is to learn about this ancient practice that's having such a resurgence now. It's like rediscovering a secret to longevity and health.
Yeah, it's so interesting because it challenges a lot of our assumptions about how we eat.
Yeah.
You know, we've always heard about eating frequent meals, counting calories, snacking constantly. Fasting completely changes that perspective.
Right. It asks us to think about what our bodies really need.
Exactly.
Not just what we've been told they need.
Yeah, it's like we've been driving with the parking brake on, and fasting is like finally releasing it.
I like that analogy. And like we've been talking about, the benefits go way beyond weight loss.
Absolutely.
We're talking about autophagy, better metabolic health, reducing inflammation, even improving brain function.
It really is like a whole body reset.
It is. And I think the most empowering thing is that it puts us back in control.
Exactly.
We're making a conscious choice to be in tune with our bodies and their natural rhythm.
Yeah, and it's not about deprivation or punishment or anything like that.
Right.
It's about nourishing our bodies in a different way.
Yeah, by giving them a break from digesting all the time.
Right.
And allowing them to focus on repair and rejuvenation.
It's like giving your cells a chance to breathe.
I like that. Yeah, like a little spring cleaning for your body.
Exactly.
And like we said, it's not about being perfect. It's about finding what works for you. Listening to your body and adjusting as needed.
Absolutely. There's no one right way to do it.
Right. Some people might thrive on a set schedule.
Yeah.
Like the 168 method. Others might prefer more flexibility.
Exactly. And it's fine to experiment and see what feels best for you.
Yeah. And even if you slip up or break a fast early, don't beat yourself up about it.
Exactly. Just get back on track. It's all about progress, not perfection.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of fasting and its impact on lifespan, what's the one message you hope our listeners take away from this?
I really hope they come away with a sense of curiosity and a willingness to challenge those old ideas about eating.
Yeah.
You know, fasting isn't a magic bullet.
Right.
But it's a powerful tool.
It is.
That can really unlock our body's potential.
It's about taking back control of our health and recognizing how resilient our bodies really are.
Absolutely. And, you know, as research continues,
I
think we're going to learn even more about how this ancient practice can improve our well-being and help us live longer, healthier lives.
This has been such an insightful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
It was my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, we hope you found this deep dive into fasting inspiring and informative. We encourage you to keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing those boundaries when it comes to your health and longevity. Until next time, keep diving deep.